And so there we have it. I'll first of all like to have your reaction on it first. What do you think about this tuition fee hike?
Well, it's came as a shocking development, right on the heels of the controversial fuel subsidy, the removal of the purported removal of the fuel subsidy, and then other things, some other charges here and there, hikes here and there. And don't forget that when the former president was leaving, he signed the Finance Act 2023 to law to take effect on June 1, which also indicated that certain things had gone up. So it was like a cocktail of missiles, fired at Nigerian parents, at Nigerians generally. Now, with this hike, I think it shows how inconsiderate our leaders are, because the presumption that there is money in Nigeria is fallacious. It's not based on data. It's not based on proper research. So the assumption that, okay, Nigerians can pay. After all, look at fuel, Nigerians are adjusting. You see, it shows that a lot of actions are taken without proper consideration of the consequences and whether such things are sustainable. You hike fees in federal universities because, or you look at private universities, people are sending their children to private universities, they're paying millions and all of that. But who are those doing this thing? Where is this money coming from? A lot of this money is coming from the same public sector.
But looking at the federal government's response that the tuition fee wasn't increased. It was at the discretion of the university.
That was just being clever by half. How much is the tuition fees? How much? Even if they had increased it, maybe the tuition fees, wouldn't have been maybe more than, let's say, if where some schools increased to 200,000, maybe the tuition fees wouldn't have been maybe more than 45,000. But you have other charges. You even look at that of Unity schools. They see you have 5,000 naira as insurance annually. Now, and I ask a question: where is that money going to? All this money, how is it being used? Is there a plan to use this money to to put this money into productive sectors of the economy, which will generate money to fund education? Because if you think that by just imposing taxes on Nigerians, you can improve the economy, it's just a wasted venture. Other governments have tried it. Babangida did it with SAP. What happened? But IMF and the World Bank have for years been calling for this to happen. Now it has happened. How are Nigerians going to cope with it? With the fuel hike and all these other things? It's really unfortunate. Even if you had to hike school fees, you were supposed to have graduated it. You don't just increase fees by 100%. Where are people going to get the money? They're already grappling with increased transport costs, and you are adding more. You're adding a bigger burden to them. And it's not as if you're doing anything about basic education or secondary education. You're not even improving the quality. And now you're virtually trying to shut millions of Nigerians out of the education sector. It's not right. All right,
taking it from his own point of they shouldn't have done it at once, or it should have been probably a gradual process. Should we even have a hike at all?
Well, I think the federal government has made its position clear that they never gave a directive for any school to increase school fee. We have to get that one clearly. I read the statement from the spokesman to the president that there was no such directive. So the school are acting on their own. So we have to take it that way. They only said that the few schools that have increased school fees, that it is not school fees, that those are charges, levies on other things like accommodation, feeding and library fee and all those things. But if you accumulate all these things, these are the things that is called school fees. It's not only the tuition fee. We add accommodation when schools are drawing up their school fee. They add accommodation, library, and all those things. So these are the things that accumulate into school fees. So if they have said that they didn't give directive, they have to give order to the schools to reverse these increases, because it will not be accepted by Nigeria students. As my colleagues have rightly said, now Nigerians have already been pushed to the wall with the removal of subsidy, fuel subsidy, that has affected every facet of our lives, because without petrol we cannot live. It's our lifeblood. Why is this so? Because it is what we use to drive, provide electricity for ourselves at home and pursue our businesses. Without petrol, the tailor cannot power his pass my labor generator. The weather cannot work because there's no public supply of electricity. If we have public supply of electricity by government or disco, then the demand for petrol will be minimal. And those who are, that's why some people are saying that in other countries the price is very high. It could be true, because in those countries they are quoting, you don't need petrol for you to live, because you have public supply of electricity over such places. And again, those countries do not have crude oil. You cannot pay the same thing with a country that has a natural resource that if it is being refined here, the price will not be as high as countries that do not have it. So they have to get that one clear. In Japan that makes Toyota cars, the citizens do not pay as much as what we pay here, because they are the maker. They are making it there. The cost of transporting it to Nigeria will definitely make the price to go up. So that idea or that assumption is defeated already. Now, I think with what is happening today, as I've said before, Nigerians are already pushed to the wall. As I was going to Obalede on Friday, from Bega to Obalede is 1,000 naira, and that was the beginning of my journey. So if somebody is working at Obalede, let's just say that if he moved from Bega, his office is at Obalede, he's paying 1,000 to that place, 1,000 back. He has not fed himself. How much is he going to earn for him to be able to afford such transportation costs? And the minimum wage is just 18,000. The 30,000, many state governors have not started to pay it. So the government have to look critically at the situation of this country and ensure that the refineries are functional. Because if the refineries are not functional, I don't think Nigeria will be able to bear this high cost of living.
But so my point exactly now is, for a government that says let the poor breathe, should they, for universities, yes, they are independent, right, under the rules.
Yeah, they are autonomous, yes.
But then the government must be aware of whatever decision they are making. So should the government have even allowed this hike in the first place?
Well, I don't think really there's so much that the government could have done, because it's been clear for years that universities need to be allowed to run according to the laws.
But now are the experts
they're autonomous, they have governing councils. So if those hikes were approved by the governing councils, definitely I don't think that government can just give a blanket order that, reverse these things. But be that as it may, you see, you need to work out policies that cushion the effect of some of these things, not palliatives. Because the idea of palliatives is just a lie. Somebody there's a wound, instead of you to treat it properly, you're just trying to, give it some temporary relief, and the injury is deep. So palliatives don't go anywhere. The point is, I, for one, was opposed to the student loan scheme, because as far as I'm concerned, it's meaningless.
I was actually going to go there too.
To me, you had this scheme by the late Professor Jelly Omotola Unilag, study work scheme, which some countries have adopted. I did an internship in the US in United States in 2001. And, you know, it meant that I also, you know, I had to spend a month at the university, you know. And the hotel where we stayed was being run by students. I mean, the general work was being done by students. The filling station, the department stores, and some other businesses were being run by students. So what it meant was that their lectures were structured in such a way that they could go to school and at the same time be working. So in that way, you're helping the students to develop experience, develop work experience, and then you're also, you know, in a way, getting the buy-in of the private sector, of everybody, even the city council, you know, or everybody into the funding of education. Because government alone cannot fund education. There must be some other things that help to make sure that the funding is sustainable, is sustained. Yes, we have so much corruption in the country. Money is being stolen. People ask the question, why not take, for instance, take from what you said you saved 1 trillion monthly from the fuel, from the removal of fuel subsidy. Why not take from it to fund public education? You know, this is a country of so many contradictions. You see government officials say they've gone this way, and then you try to get a progress report, they turn around again and face another direction. Policy distortions. So the government itself must come clean. If you know you are no longer willing to fund education totally, or you are no longer willing to fund tertiary education, higher education, just come clean and tell Nigerians that. Let there be a debate. Let there be a debate, you know, let the National Assembly organize a debate. And so people, you know, parents, students, and different sectors will come in to make suggestions so that at the end of the day, we will arrive at a destination that we know is mutually agreeable to all.